Welcome everyone to the third Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where I will be looking into Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline. I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology, specifically Synastry. For those new and returning, I take notes on the Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs, aspects, and if time available, house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. And of course, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments and let's get a discussion going. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and keep on watching. Starting off with the sun, we have Shawn's sun in Leo and Camila's sun in Pisces. Shawn very easily overpowers Camila. Camila needs to learn to be explicit with Shawn. Camila is okay with Shawn's need for being adored, and Camila's elusiveness and subtlety frustrates Shawn. So we're initially seeing who's the more dominant one in this relationship thus far. Let's see where this goes. Shawn's sun in Camila's 4th house, sense of familiarity. Camila trusts Shawn deeply. There's a strong desire to live together. I don't know if that happened. As far as I know, they were friends, they dated, and now they're back to being friends again. So I'm not sure if they had a living situation while they were in a more than friends relationship. Camila feels secure around Shawn. Shawn feels they belong together. Shawn is protective of Camila and both are committed to each other. So we're seeing so far, well, Shawn is the more dominant one in this relationship. And also another comment, the fact that Shawn feels they belong together. I'm guessing maybe when it came to them transitioning into being more than friends, I'm guessing maybe he was the one that was more pushing that and was the one taking charge on that one. Shawn's sun opposite Camila's Jupiter. There is a positive meeting, but a difficult marriage, okay. Sense of unreliability. Camila is like Shawn's drug, different life philosophies. There is a desire to make each other happy. Shawn sometimes sees Camila as unrealistic. So we're seeing another reason why Shawn is frustrated with Camila. We saw before that her elusiveness and subtlety, but also her unrealisticness as well now. Camila goes to excess with good intentions. And this could be the reason why we saw in the beginning, she let Shawn to be a bit more dominant. This allowing him to be this way possibly comes from her having good intentions, and it comes from a good place. It's not necessarily her being dominated. Camila sometimes sees Shawn as self-centered. I definitely see that. So far, yeah. Sharing and understanding goes a long way. Sometimes they expect too much of each other, and Shawn brings protection and stability to this relationship. So far, we're seeing the protectiveness from Shawn, which is really great. Nice. Nice element to have. Now we're onto their moon. We have Shawn's moon in Aquarius and Camila's moon in Sagittarius. They have similar emotional needs, similar attitudes towards life, which I think is interesting because we saw they have different life philosophies, but probably I'm guessing their lifestyles. I mean, obviously their lifestyles are pretty similar, but how they think of it may be a bit different. Both are independent, share a strong desire to experiment. Both actively seek out change. Interesting. Neither prioritizes domestic life. I find it interesting how they do have that strong desire to live together, but realistically speaking, maybe that won't work. Both value being socially involved. Neither can tolerate being possessive. Both like to go against tradition, and relationship lacks warmth, depth, and intimacy. Shawn's moon in Camila's 10th house. Neutral relationship, we're seeing that again straight away. Shawn feels uneasy around Camila. That's interesting. Practical reasons for this relationship. Okay. Shawn feels Camila is too selfish. Okay, because we saw this before from Camila's side, I'm pretty sure. And I see why she thinks that way, but okay, I don't know if we're going to see this again. View each other as a trophy. Okay. Camila's moon trines Shawn's Mercury. Shawn stimulates Camila's self-expression. I assume in reality this translates into Camila possibly being inspired by Shawn, or Shawn helping her with her music possibly. Comfortable talking to each other about everything. They are easeful with each other. It's a harmonious relationship. Shawn enjoys being emotionally nourished by Camila, and he provides a foundation for her feelings. That's nice. Camilla is comfortable expressing her feelings with Shawn. We have Camilla's moon square Shawn's Jupiter. Tendency to be extreme and excessive. Okay, we're seeing this again. There is like that extreme and excessive element to this relationship, and we saw that was more so coming from Camilla being very giving. Poor judgment can lead them to trouble. I wonder if we're going to see more of this. Interesting. Too optimistic as a couple. I am going to read this as, because they did start as friends and like go into being in a relationship, and I don't know that much about this. That's pretty much all I know. They were friends, then they were not, and now they're friends again. I wonder, like, when they were friends, and like I did say before, like I was leaning towards Shawn maybe pushing that and instigating that a bit more. Maybe they possibly thought they would be better as a couple rather than friends, and they, I don't want to say they overestimated it, but they were a bit too, I guess, positive about it. Like, we're going to be way better as a couple, and maybe in reality, like, I mean, so far we're seeing, this is, I see a nice friendship. I don't see anything particularly, as earlier, the relationship lacks that intimacy and warmth so far. Both feel free with their emotions. We're seeing again that this seems to be a very nice, like, emotionally free relationship. Emotionally open relationship is the better way of putting it, I think. Relationship about determining boundaries. Both will learn better judgment, failing to keep promises. Okay. Camilla may become possessive of Shawn. Interesting. We're seeing there is a bit of that, like, protective element to this relationship we're seeing so far, which is quite interesting. Like them being very protective and like very, yeah, I get protective. There's no other word to say that, really. They meet in an optimistic way. So we're seeing so far, like, the way they met was positive and optimistic, all that good stuff. Camilla's moon trines Shawn's Saturn. Relationship goals are important. I find that kind of like funny. Like, I think, yeah, I don't know what to put on that. Camilla sees Shawn as stern. Shawn sees Camilla as a youngster. What's their age gap? Because, I mean, even if they are a similar age, like, Camilla could possibly behave a bit more, like, immature or, like, more youthful. Shawn is accountable with Camilla. Shawn finds it difficult to be emotionally nurturing. So possibly that is difficult for him. Maybe he has to really make an effort for it. It doesn't come as naturally to him. Building on past traditions is important. This is interesting because we saw before with their moons that they go against that tradition. So stability is present. I definitely see that. Like, this seems to be pretty stable so far. No, like, messiness as far. High potential for accumulating wealth here. I don't want to be all conspiratorial again. If you've seen my Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez video, but we're seeing the high potential for accumulating wealth, and we're also seeing there's practical reasons for this relationship, and they view each other as a trophy. Maybe they did do this for publicity. Oh, like, you know, we're kind of compatible in that way, and we may as well do this for publicity, but I don't know, if we're going to see more on that, I'll be more convinced. Like before, but so far, I'm just putting it out there. Based on union and dedication, together they can achieve long-term goals and mutual projects. I mean, they had the mutual project of their song, right? So now we are on to Mercury. So we have Shawn's Mercury in Leo and Camilla's Mercury in Pisces. Camilla may find Shawn self-righteous and egotistic. I'm not surprised. We saw this in the beginning before and now again. Shawn can be too direct and brash for Camilla. Camilla can be a buzzkill for Shawn, and he can be impatient with her, and they can learn from each other. I definitely see the impatient bit. Like we saw before, like a couple times, that he can tend to be frustrated with her. Shawn's Mercury in Camilla's 4th house. Shawn's daily expressions are compatible with Camilla, so the way he goes about daily life basically is compatible with her. Shawn's daily expressions are compatible with Camilla, so basically the way he sort of naturally goes about day-to-day life is and how he naturally tends to be is compatible with Camilla. Camilla is comfortable with Shawn. I'm pretty sure we see again, so that's nice. Camilla's Mercury sextile with Shawn's Saturn. Shawn helps Camilla focus. We saw this before, how like he helps her be more creative and express herself more, so I assume he helps her with her career and more creative parts of herself and music. Camilla feels she can learn a lot from Shawn. They can both solve problems together. Conversations tend to be dry. Good as a business partnership. So okay, this is interesting. Because I do feel like these, so far, I feel like these two are pretty, like, I feel like they're good friends. Like, you know, they have a good emotional connection and they're pretty, like, tolerant of each other, which is nice. And there's no, like, particular red flags going off in my head anyway. But it's weird how we're seeing, like, they're a good business partnership. They can both make money together and they view each other as a trophy. I feel like I'm going to lean towards if they were more of a business partnership rather than anything else. Camilla's Mercury squares Shawn's Pluto. They have frequent intellectual arguments. I assume this is more over music. Both may hold on to issues for too long. Camilla is overwhelmed by this dynamic. Camilla wants to understand Shawn deeply. Camilla feels controlled by Shawn. I'm not surprised. He seems to be, I don't want to say critical of her, but like, you know, like he is helping her in a career, I guess, but like with the element of him being frustrated, maybe Camilla, that's the reason why Camilla is a bit overwhelmed, because maybe that does come off as a bit controlling to her, especially with him being more dominant. Shawn wants to know Camilla's secrets and he is forceful with trying to control how Camilla thinks. I'm going to like twist this a bit with what we've seen so far. I think this more relates to how like he's a bit more forceful with like her creative expression probably, and like how she goes about with music and like how she thinks about going about with music, if that makes sense, like her maybe creative process, her songwriting processes or whatever. We're now onto Venus, so we have Shawn's Venus in Cancer and Camilla's Venus in Pisces. Relationship of devotion and mutual respect. I definitely see that. They do seem to be devoted to each other. Like, there is that element of Shawn being a bit more, like, dominant and controlling, but I feel like it does come from a place of respect, so to speak. Like, he wants her to improve and he sees potential in her type of thing. And she does seem to be okay with that from what we've seen. I think we need to look a bit more into that. Both value emotional bonds, which is great because we've seen that emotional element to their relationship. Shawn finds Camilla's astray nature concerning. We keep seeing this. He seems to, it's like I think we saw before, he's very protective of her, like, and he sees more as like a young person. We keep seeing this. It's like, I don't want to be like he's like a father figure to her, because I don't get that vibe of like daddy issues or anything, but it's weird that he's like very protective of her, and he seems to be very influential in how she does music and stuff in her career, and he's frustrated with her because she's a bit more like astray, as we saw here. Warm and nurturing relationship. I mean, to a lesser extent, I would say. Shawn's Venus in Camilla's third house. Shawn feels more comfortable around Camilla. Shawn feels he can be himself around her. They are good friends. Shawn sees Camilla as easily approachable, and I assume that's why they have a positive, optimistic meeting. And like with Shawn being more dominant, he probably did say, oh, she's a pretty like cool person, whatever, and they like just started talking pretty easily and it was nice and positive and everything. Shawn makes Camilla happy, easy and natural communication. They both trust each other and it's a pleasant relationship. Nothing to dispute here really, what we've seen so far. Shawn's Venus opposite Camilla's Neptune. Shawn may prefer to idolize Camilla. This is interesting, like, because we're seeing this aspect of, like, Shawn being a bit more, like, controlling, and, like, he seems to see Camilla as, like, a young project, yeah, because I'm not getting, like, daddy issues vibes or anything where, like, he's acting like her father. It does seem to be, like, she's very much a project, and with her preferring to idolize Camilla, like, I'm wondering if he has, like, for some reason, he has like a vision of her becoming something bigger or whatever. Shawn is so caught up in love, he doesn't know Camilla. This is weird. Now, it's taking a weird turn. Camilla doesn't like Shawn's idolization. It's That's not great. Camilla needs to be careful of promising too much. I definitely see that. Like, we saw she's a bit more generous and everything, and what goes to excess a bit. Camilla has a hard time being realistic with Shawn. Okay, another element why Shawn could be frustrated with her, and he sees her as a bit more like vague and like astray, as we saw before. Both find it difficult to stay. Camilla communicates with Shawn artistically or vaguely. This is weird because it's very strange to comment on this relationship when they were friends, and then they were more than friends, and then they were friends again now, I'm pretty sure. But we're seeing, like, we keep seeing this, like, business element to this relationship, like, especially the business element, and we're seeing that Shawn has this vision for Camilla, and he keeps wanting her, he wants her to improve and everything, and is a bit controlling of her in that way. And now we're seeing that she communicates with him artistically. Like, they're like, the business side of their career is very much, not even the business side, just the career of being like singers, artists, is very much at the forefront of this relationship. And it's hard to say because, like, they were friends, and then, like, the relationship changed, like, but if this very much gives me, like, this relationship, like, in whatever form it comes in, there seems to be that, like money, business, music aspect to it, you know? Neither can define what attracts them to the other, and lies can occur to protect the pain. This is weird. I don't like the turn this has taken. Camilla's Venus sextile Shawn's Saturn. They share mutual goals, as we saw before. Camilla sees Shawn as a long-term person in her life. Shawn stabilizes Camilla's emotions, and this could be like part of maybe like Camilla uses her emotions like for her music, and Shawn helps her to like translate that a bit more. I know, like, personally, like, I'm not an artist, but you know, when you're creative and sometimes you have all these emotions, it can be a bit hard to translate into like a quality piece of artwork, because you do need to intellectualize and stabilize your emotions a bit for that. Strong commitment to each other. Both are willing to make sacrifices for the other, and they help each other in career. See, we see this weird aspect again. Camilla's Venus squares Shawn's Pluto. There's a fine line between love and hate. Intense fear of losing each other. Both will need to deal with possessiveness, jealousy, and volatile emotions. Bring out each other's deepest insecurities. Power struggles are likely to happen. I'm not surprised. Like, we're seeing Shawn being the more dominant force in this relationship, and although we're not seeing Camilla have much hesitation to that, that in itself could be an element of her not really liking that, because we're not seeing her, like, her here. Maybe she's, like, you know, it's kind of like she's not very present in this relationship. She doesn't have much power in this relationship. Cannot be just friends after. It's weird because they started off as friends and they're not, but now they're back. It's a bit weird. Shawn seems to have the high power, not surprised. So now we're on to our final personal planet, Mars. So we have Shawn's Mars in Cancer and Camilla's Mars in Libra. They are both passive-aggressive, both are slow to change, and they both avoid confrontation. Shawn finds it easy to manipulate Camilla. I don't like this, like, especially with him having the high power, like, I mean, a bit more dominant, like, ugh, yuck. Can work through conflict together smoothly. I definitely see that. We have kept seeing how, like, there is that problem solving, the goal aspect to the relationship, that they can achieve goals and everything, so agree. Shawn's Mars in Camilla's third house. There is a high level of friction. I kind of see that. We're now starting to see like a weird dark element to this relationship. Very weird. I don't like it. I feel weird. It's not cool. Shawn is more blunt around Camilla. Okay, maybe that's why he's very like around her. Camilla may intimidate Shawn. That's kind of fun. I know, like, normally that's, I mean, I don't, you know, it depends in what context it is. In this context, I kind of find that fun, since Shawn is, like, seems to be more dominant in this relationship. Camilla is sensitive to Shawn's intensity. This I don't like. because he seems to be quite intense here, and if he's frequently intense, she's frequently sensitive, and that's not great. Especially we've seen, like, she has, what was it, her Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Pisces. Like, she's a sensitive girl. Like, she's not gonna handle this well, I feel. Camilla's Mars opposite Shawn's Jupiter. Both desire independence, both have a desire for adventure. And we saw before that they were both pretty independent in this relationship. Differences in the way they look at things, and I think in the beginning we saw they have different life philosophies, so their like morals and values, I assume, are pretty different. Shawn may be a bad influence, and I don't think this is in a fun bad boy way. It sounds a bit silly, but normally when someone says they're a bad influence, it normally implies that sort of vibe, but I feel like he's a bad influence in terms of he just seems to be a bit too controlling of Camilla. For my liking anyway. Maybe she's okay with it, but Camilla doesn't appreciate Shawn's thought-out approach to solving problems. Does he see her career as, like, solving a problem? Like, I'm just thinking now, because I don't know too much about these two, but maybe because she was in that, like, girl group, maybe he didn't like that and thought she would be a lot better as being independent, and that, like, being a problem of her transitioning into an independent artist, and like maybe he helped her out with that. Like, just theorizing really. Camilla's way of impressing is taken the wrong way. Oh, okay. I don't, because her energy, like, she doesn't seem to be very present here. I think I mentioned that before, so I'm not sure what she could do. Maybe like her being a bit more vague and like those things that frustrate him is taken the wrong way. Conflict in beliefs, yeah. I think I definitely see that they have a bit of conflict when it comes to their beliefs, morals and values sort of thing, life philosophies. Both are likely to take risks together. I feel like this is more of career. Like, honestly, I don't see anything else that would indicate otherwise besides that career. Camilla's Mars trine Shawn's Neptune. No boundaries. We saw before how this was a relationship where they learned to determine boundaries, so that's interesting. Shawn strengthens Camilla's ego. I would see that. Like, if someone's very focused on, like, trying to, like, make you a star, so to speak, yeah, your ego is boosted. Both are drawn to each other, and they're both fascinated with each other. Camilla feels more confident around Shawn. Camilla's Mars sextile with Shawn's Pluto. Camilla's daring nature is attractive to Shawn. There's power issues, which we see again, not surprisingly. They have dramatic fights. Oh, I don't like this. Potential to be dangerous or destructive. Why are we seeing this in the end? I should have mentioned this is the last aspect, and now we're getting this, like, oh. Like, it was getting a bit weird and dark before, but now it's like, Need to be careful to not get possessive over each other. So, my final thoughts. We are done. I don't exactly know what to think. I think in the last two readings, like, they were a bit weird, but, like, I sort of, at the end, was like, okay, this is the vibe they had. And probably because it was a bit more simple, because they were friends and then not, and now they're friends again. I'm pretty sure that would be awkward if they actually, like, just broke up and are not friends anymore. I feel like they are good friends. Like, if I read this before they were dating, I would have definitely seen this as they're good friends that, like, help each other out in career. But I feel like them getting into a relationship kind of messes things up. I definitely find the, like, we kept seeing there was that business-like element to the relationship, and they help each other career. And with Shawn's very strange in this relationship, which I find interesting because, like, I'm not a fan of him. I don't know him very well, obviously. I wish. He's just my personal friend. But it's very weird how he seems to be very, like, controlling and dominating. Like, he doesn't really give me that vibe, but, like, we did see a couple times that, like, you know, Camilla kind of brings out that side to him, which I find really weird. Like, I find it very weird that he's very keen on helping her in a career. Like, I don't know, it's just weird that it sounds weird to say he targeted her, but, like, he's focusing on her. And especially in a cutthroat industry like the music industry, like, I don't know, I can't imagine, like, you're very open to helping other people. Like, it seems to be a very self-centered industry, which I don't know if it's a good thing that Shawn is doing it, because, like, yes, it's a bit different from everyone else, but at the same time, Camilla's energy doesn't seem to be very present in this relationship, which I don't really like. Yeah, I guess they're my final thoughts. This is a very strange, I don't want to say it's strange, but like, I mean, they're good friends and they have that business side of their relationship. And if you do choose to watch the extended video, you know everything else about what went down in their more than friends when it got out of the friend zone relationship. So that is all from me. If you did like this video, definitely give this video a like, and do all the fun stuff like subscribing and notifications and whatever. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!